first one, losing strategy, is waiting around for your passion to hit you in the head. I cannot tell you the number of children who refuse to commit to something that they love. Look, none of us, or the majority of us, have not woken up and said, look, I'm obsessed with cancer research, I'm obsessed with ants. If you were one of those, you're lucky, okay? But unfortunately, if you want to be more strategic about your college application, then you need to put your foot on the ground and say, look, I don't know what I love, but as on today, I love Model UN, and so I'm going to build up around debate, right? Or I love computer science, or I love cancer research. You pick whatever it is that you love and just start going at it and see what happens with that, okay? The second one is being a chronic joiner, okay? I see a lot of kids like this. They follow the extracurricular rat race. They go and do what everybody else is doing. Some of the most common that I see, especially in Bangalore, I see they join any kind of environmental drive and cleanup. I see Model UN, right? And I see Trinity School of Music. It's not that these are not terrific accomplishments, they are. But the problem is you are trying to stand out and remain memorable. And when you join these types of activities, it doesn't help you stand out, right? There was a student I had who basically had joined 6 clubs, but he didn't bother to take a leadership role in any of them. They were all over the place, from economics to robotics, and we weren't sure what he cared about. We call him the chronic joiner. And this is something that just makes you like many others. It's something that you do not want to do, okay? So the next thing is unimpressive, uninteresting activities. We talked about this when we talked about saving time, right? If you don't need it, drop it. If you're keeping it, don't lie to yourself. You are keeping it, but it might not help your application. 4, do not undermine hobbies, okay? Hobbies can become really big things on your application. The most important thing is for you to follow what you love. If you love baking, go for it. Start a company in baking. Start baking for your society, or teach baking to children who want to learn more, or go to Slurp Studios where they have courses that teach you how to improve yourself, or go work for the cordon bleu chef who works at this Lavon nearby. See if you can study under them, right? There are so many opportunities for you to do things within your hobbies, but don't do what one of my students does, which is that he loves art, and all he does is 20 minutes of random drawing every day. Again, you love it, do it, but just know that there are ways to build that up, right? So what we have him doing now is we actually have him taking his drawings and trying to get them printed on t-shirts, which a friend of his is selling, right? So that one-ups the activity so that it doesn't remain a hobby, but there's something larger in mind that this child has. It shows a lot of self-initiative on his part. Okay, number 5 is building up your resume through see-through activities. I had a student from China who basically resume was pretty much all academic. She was doing academic research, but all of a sudden, she took a course at Stanford over the summer. It was a paid course that she did. It was hosted by a third party on the campus, so Stanford had no involvement. It was called the Master Innovators Toolkit. If you look at this child's resume, there was nothing innovative that she was doing. So again, it's just some random program that she suddenly joined, and I don't understand how it fits into her resume. But I'm just saying it didn't add into her story. And because it's paid, anybody can do it, right? It's not your tier 1 or 2 activity, it's a tier 4 activity. So you're spending about $5,000 to $9,000 US dollars in the United States for these programs, but you're just doing a tier 4 activity, right? So really think about whether that makes sense for you, or you can do something more with your time. So number 6 is competing in competitive areas. So one year I had 9 students, 9 girls, and 7 of them were in Bharatanatyam. Now, yes, it's a beautiful cultural thing that you can participate in, but you have to spend hours to reach the final stage of that. And 7 out of 10 applicants, all for the University of Pennsylvania, it makes it really difficult. They're all from India. How do you stand out amongst those? So unless you can take your dancing and take it to a place where you're nationally recognized, or even you're performing regionally, maybe you are putting together a fundraiser that showcases different types of cultural talent and then raising money. Something more than just the basic, I am part of a course and I'm going to follow this progression. and all of us will graduate at the end, right? That is something that's not adding much to your application. Number 7 is asking what you should do. I have a student whose parents have put him into rowing because they believe that rowing, it's easier to appear on a national stage since no one else wants to do rowing. Guess what? The kid hates rowing and he spends 10 hours a week rowing and his coach says he's not good at it, right? So do not force your child to do things they don't like. They will not excel at it. It will not help your application, okay? Do things you like and try to build off of them. I really am saying that. People think that's very easy to say, but trust me, it works, okay? I've seen so many kids through this process. It works, okay? Please go after what you love. The 8th mistake is trying to be the best academically, okay? I'm going to show you something that's going to break your heart. Take a look at one of my candidates' resumes here and look at his scores, okay? 95% in CBSE, 35 on his ACT, 1540 on his SAT, and extra AP classes. This child did not get into Stanford, Harvard, or MIT, okay? Why? I don't know. There could be 1,000 reasons, and some of them we'll talk about later. But what I'm trying to tell you is that being academically powerful is great, but it's not the only thing that'll get you in. And while I encourage you to get good grades, I told you it's a necessity, I'm telling you, don't waste your time trying to get 30 extra points on your SATs if it's going to cost you 50 extra hours, right? You really need to weigh your time versus what it's giving you. As long as you pass the thresholds for 50% at these schools, you are pretty much safe to apply, okay? I want to show you one more chart that, again, our friends Harvard have published when they were going through the whole case at the Supreme Court. Take a look again at the screen. Okay, so here you have your SAT scores. Here you have your GPA, which stands for your grade levels, right? If you look here, this top corner would be the best scores for your grades as well as for your SATs and ACTs. But the greens are who got accepted. You see here, there are people who get accepted to Harvard without having the top scores, right? What does that mean? You should be academically strong. You definitely need it. But you don't have to be perfect, so do not waste your time doing that if your time can be used in other ways. So we have one more mistake that is made, and that is lacking impact. I had a child who, I couldn't believe it, but wanted to apply to the Ivy Leagues, and his extracurriculars were literally that he planted 12 neem trees at a factory in Rajasthan, and those gave shade to the employees that were there. He also created a brochure, which he distributed. There was no action to follow up on that, right? And he participated as a member in 2 environmental drives, okay? This lacks impact, okay? There isn't enough action that's happening. If you had gone and planted hundreds of trees, I would be like, okay, that's amazing, but 12 trees? So don't just do things to do them. If you're going to do it in a strong way that demonstrates that something great has come out of it, don't stay at that level. We're trying to show that we are capable of doing a lot more, okay? Take a look at your screen again and remind yourself what those 9 losing strategies are. I want to show you a couple downloads that I'm going to give you. So here, if you take a look at my screen, what I'm showing you, so you will get access to this. Here you can see different types, academics, athletics, you can see the activity itself, and you can see a description of what they actually did. Here I've put in the tiers for you to take a look at. Remember, this is not a science, okay? It matters very much the details behind what you've done. But for a second here, I'm gonna filter to just the ones. Look at the types of activities these are, right? This person is qualified for the British Math Olympiads. This person created an international network of dramatists around the world. This person got selected for a youth orchestra, and he's the lead cellist in a semi-pro orchestra. So you can see that they've really done something that's quite exceptional in nature, and that's why they're ranked as a tier 1. The other thing here is I have a second sheet, which you can take a look at. Again, there's environment, jobs, science, math, a bunch of different categories you can look into, and I've given you some extracurricular ideas that you can, and then basically what you want to do is you want to understand how difficult is it, what is the impact, what is the self-initiative, that you've taken. Self-initiative means, have you started this on your own? Have you done something that's above and beyond just joining somebody else, right? If you put your numbers in these various cells, you'll come to understand that, yeah, this is really truly a tier 1 activity, or it's not, right? So download both of these at the end, and I think that'll help you get started. There's one other tip here. Let's say that you pick something which you know nothing about. Let's say you want to be an expert in product technology. Google is your friend, right? Google all the extracurricular activities you can do in product technology. You will get some ideas of activities that you can start at. And what happens is there's a bit of a snowball effect. So once you join one activity, you will meet other like-minded people. You might meet a mentor. They will direct you towards more and more activities that you can join. So over time, it'll work itself into becoming a much bigger activity than when you just started. Oh, and don't forget, if you have any comments, leave them on the bottom. I will definitely get back to you.